Alrighty, everybody, welcome to What It Takes, a mini series where I ask the same questions to elite coaches and they talk about what it takes to become an elite coach. I'm your host, Kevin Shaw, and today we are talking with 3 times over 15-star diamond and 6-time elite coach, Jenelle Summers. Jenelle, welcome to What It Takes.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate it. Such an honor.
Awesome. Janelle, before we get started, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Oh my goodness, a little bit about myself. Well, I'm a mom. We have 1 son, and I'm a wife. Been married, it's been 21 years now. And I'm someone that comes from a corporate background. I went into HR management, was an HRIS analyst, a senior comp analyst, blah, 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 all that boring stuff. And but fitness and sports and dance, those things have always been my inner passion. I've always wanted to have a full-time gig in fitness. And so on the side of my corporate job, I always just taught fitness classes and did some personal training. And yeah, I'm an introvert, grew up painfully shy. My sister is very outgoing. Many of you know my sister, Shalene Johnson. And yeah, I guess that pretty much sums me up. I'm just someone that, like any other, woman out there, I just love to help other people. And that's my passion.
I love that. That's a great introduction. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, here we go, guys. Here are the questions. Number 1, Jenelle, how were you introduced to Beachbody?
Well, my sister, being that she's one of the super trainers, she had already done Turbo Jam, I think it was. And Beachbody coaching had already been a thing. It had already been going on for at least 1.5 to 2 years. And Shalene's the one that introduced it to me, and she just said, this is such a no-brainer. It's what you already love. It's just a no-brainer for you. And it's something that could build into something really big. You might be able to quit your full-time job. You would love it. I was extremely skeptical. I was like, that is not me. That is not for me. That is not what I'm about. It's about sales. I just was very skeptical. But I was intrigued behind the scenes. Didn't want to tell her that, but I was intrigued enough with the thought of it that I did research it and obviously went for it.
I mean, and look where it is today. That is so fun. So fun to hear that. Okay, question number 2. Can you describe what those early days looked like for you?
Yes. Well, since I was working a full-time job, and I had my full-time career, and I also, on the side for a local gym, I was their Group X director, coordinator, manager, whatever you want to call it. And so that was an additional, supposedly 15 hours a week, but it was really more like 20 hours a week. So I'd work full-time during the week and then full day, 10-hour days sometimes. So definitely putting in around the clock hours between these 2 jobs. And so when I started this business, I decided to drop that Group X thing and just have my full-time job and work this. So I was still extremely busy, working probably at least 50 hours a week in my full-time career. And so what it looked like was a lot of really early mornings to fit this in, and some really late nights. And there were some times where I probably only got 3 or 4 hours of sleep. But this business meant so much to me. It was so exciting to me that I didn't even care what rank or what income or whatever it was going to result in. I just knew I was all in. I 100% believed in it. And I was going for it.
Man, and it's all about the people, helping the people.
Yep.
Good for you. So what do you feel are some attributes or habits you have that contribute to your success?
Well, definitely mindset. I mean, with a business like this, you're dealing with people and relationships, and you're dealing with a lot of things that are a little bit out of your control. All you can control are your own actions and thoughts. And I think having just such a positive mindset and being a go-giver, those are 2 things that have really helped me, just wanting to give without expecting anything in return. And like Carl talked about in the national radio call today, having that, that taking the time to really investigate and understand and work and be like a consultant, asking them questions. So I would say mindset, wanting to truly get to the bottom of what are people's issues and needs. Those are 2 things that have just taken me really, really far. And also having discipline, because this business, you can be super excited about it one day, and then sometimes coaches aren't the next, or not the next month or whatever. Just having the discipline to continue to execute even on those days and even in those times when you don't feel like it.
Coaches, if you're watching this, go back, write those 3 things down that Jenelle just said. Those are so critical to what a successful business looks like. So good. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so what advice do you have for a brand new coach who doesn't know where to start? What can they start doing today to start achieving long-term success?
Well, it can be really overwhelming as a new coach. And this is something that's really a big thing for me, is helping my coaches reduce that overwhelm. First of all, know that it's okay to feel overwhelmed. We've all felt overwhelmed as new coaches. I certainly did. But you don't necessarily have to see like, oh, how am I going to get to 15-star diamond? How am I going to get to diamond even? How am I going to get to that Success Club 5? You don't need to necessarily see how you're going to get there. You need to see what's right in front of you, which is, are you leading by example? Are you doing your workouts? Are you drinking your Shakeology? Are you posting about it? Are you sharing? You kind of have to put blinders on as to what everyone else is doing. You don't kind of have to, you have to. Put those blinders on, focus on what you're doing and who you can help. Can you help your mom? Can you help your dad? Can you help your neighbor? You really just need to look at what's in front of you and what can you do now, and not worry about all these other fluff things that you could potentially be doing, because those are some things that you might want to do a year from now or 2 years from now, but not today. So really stay focused on the basics and get excited. That's one thing I cannot stress enough. When I was brand new as a coach, I didn't know anything, you guys. All I knew was I'd read how this business works. Like I said, I'd done my research, just like I'm sure you guys have too. And I was so excited about what this business opportunity had to offer and what we did as coaches and what we stood for. I was so excited about that. And so I started inviting right away. I didn't wait until I had this perfect scenario or that perfect situation, or, oh my gosh, was I going to end up taking it too much? I led with excitement, and people are drawn into that.
Oh my gosh, you're firing me up. I'm so excited just listening. This is so good. Okay, so switching gears, what about the coach who is struggling or is thinking about giving up? What advice do you have for them?
Well, oftentimes when a coach is struggling, it's in their head. And when I hear a newer coach say, I'm really struggling, and I'll say, what do you mean you're struggling? What are you struggling with? And when I hear what they have to say, typically they think they're struggling because they're comparing themselves to someone else. And so when I really dig into that struggle, they're not struggling. It's that they're comparing themselves to someone else and they think they're struggling, and they're really not struggling. And I have to assure them, look, you're doing awesome. You're doing better than I did in my first month. And half the time they're just so unaware of that. They're like, wow, I just thought, so-and-so's doing this and so-and-so's doing that. I'm like, yeah, well, so-and-so's been doing this 2 years. I've been doing this over 8 years. You cannot be comparing, your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 12. I mean, you have to stay focused on what you can do and put the blinders on. So get on that personal development, because that's huge, obviously. And if you don't like, to sit down and read a book, then it's got to be a podcast or audio. But get on the personal development. Start feeding your mind with all the positive thoughts, because that's what's going to show forward in your actions.
Stop the comparison game.
Yes.
So amazing. Okay, last question on advice. What is the best advice you have received regarding your personal business?
I always go back to this, I think, and it's that you can't motivate the unmotivated. And one thing that was just a really pivotal time in my business was when I was about 6 months into the business, and I'd already started building a team. And like I said before, I was super excited. I was super fired up. And it was starting to eat away at me that some of my coaches or customers weren't acting on the tools or the advice or the things that I was doing and putting out there for them. And it started to eat away at me, thinking that I'm not good enough. I'm not good at this. And what I came to realize is that not everyone is as motivated as I am, or as excited as I am. And that if I just continue to invite, those people are out there. It's a small percentage, but those people who are fired up and they're motivated, they're out there. The people that I had on my team so far, I'm going to continue to lead and equip them, but I'm not going to drag anyone. And I'm not going to waste any time dragging anyone into this. I'm going to continue to inspire and reach as many people as I can and work with the willing.
Oh my gosh, this is such amazing. Okay, guys, that is the advice. Now we're on to the speed round. Jenelle, this is where I ask you rapid fire
Okay.
questions and you just give short answers. Here we go.
Okay.
Number one, on average, how much time do you spend working your business?
That's a tough one because I'm constantly thinking, my wheels are constantly turning. But I would say if it was like consecutive hours, which I never work consecutive hours, but if
Okay.
I condensed it all together, maybe 4 to 6 hours.
Okay.
But I'm someone that I have to keep moving. So I might return emails for half an hour, but then Matt and I will go to Target. And then I might, do a post, and then I'm going to, let the dogs out and play with the dogs. I'm constant, but I try to set my work hours between 11 and 4 or 5 when my son gets home. So I pretty much shut down after that and just do an evening post.
Man, that's a perfect lifestyle right there. Fit it in when you can.
Yeah.
Hey, what is your average SC each month?
I am usually somewhere in the 20s.
Okay.
Although I definitely many times have been in the 30s, and for January, I think I hit Success Club 50 something.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay, what percentage of time do you focus on your own business versus your team?
I've heard this question asked before, and honestly, when I'm focusing, I don't think there's a separation. My team is my business. So I've never thought of those two things as separate things. My team is fully my business. So I don't think of it that way. But if you're talking about how much time do I spend inviting people to the business opportunity and challenge groups versus time mentoring, training my team, then
Yep.
I would say it's about 40-60 split, 60% mentoring and training my team. But I think people also have to realize I do have a large team. I have 60 to 70 lifetime diamonds, and a lot of them, pushing for elite. So, and I want to help them do that. So I might have a different situation than some people out there where that is my split.
That's okay. Then that's completely understandable. I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what leadership ladder rung are you at right now?
Executive leader.
Doesn't surprise me. Okay, guys, it is time for questions from a hat where Jenelle has no idea what question we have got to ask. Here is your question, Jenelle. If you could spend the day with any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's really hard. I mean, some of my favorite celebrities, Beyonce, Rihanna. Those are the two that come to mind right away. So maybe one of those two.
I love that you went artists, you went singers. That is phenomenal. Mine's Carrie Underwood. Don't tell anybody, but mine's Carrie Underwood. But those are phenomenal singers as well. Congratulations on that. Okay, guys, that is what it takes to know. Phenomenal conversation, great content, guys. Listening to this, go back and listen to it again. If you stick to this, you guys will be successful. Jenelle, thank you so much for spending time with us on What It Takes.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you later.